We decided to go on an outing and go on vacation, and I was just happy to get out and to go anywhere at this point. And my husband and son are mountain bikers, so we went to a local state park in our area, 3, 4 hours away, and we booked an Airbnb. But so when we arrived at our destination, I immediately just didn't like the space. Yeah, it was a little outdated. It was a cabin in the woods, very remote, very rustic, more rustic than I would have liked because there was a lot of bugs and things, and I don't think I wanted to stay there really. And I told my husband, and he was upset, and he's like, "It's fine." And I felt like a negative energy in the home though. So I'm a sensitive. And I remember having a hard time falling asleep there, didn't feel comfortable as well. And, because I'm a sensitive, it's hard to sleep some nights anyway, and I'll just meditate. But I end up going to sleep. And when I wake up the next morning, I had some pain in my bikini area. And it turned out I had been bitten while I was in bed. And I never had this happen to me before. And I told my husband, I think a spider bit me or something bit me. It was a rather large bite. And we didn't know at that time what it was per se. But he told me, it's not a big deal. He had been bitten by spiders. And I thought, I tried to stay positive, and we were on vacation, and I didn't want to really waste time going to the doctors or anything. And it wasn't that bad at that time. So we end up going through our whole vacation, and we go home, and I ended up putting it off because it was just, I was uncomfortable with it, but I try to be positive. I did Google like what I could do if it was, for spider bites. And locally around here, doctors aren't really prepared for it. It's not a common thing. And all they do is give you antibiotics. I was getting a fever. My whole body was just achy like a flu, even worse. So I said, I'm going to go lay down in bed and try to meditate and try to just rest, and fight through this. And I go to my bedroom. And this is where I have my near death experience, where basically I start going unconscious. Going unconscious, I actually started to see balls of energy, balls of orbs of light started to come out of me. And I think this was my life force, like coming out. Part of my soul was starting to like leak out of me almost. And I started to have the life review. And in the life review, at first it was these beautiful scenes I was shown. It was shown, things that made me want to live. Things that made me like, I don't want to miss my children. And I want to see them grow up. And, just so many things that were beautiful in my life that it's like, wow, my life is beautiful. And like, I wasn't even seeing these things because I was angry. I wasn't seeing all of my blessings clearly, because then they started showing me that I was an angry person. I became this angry person because of so many wrongdoings, because I was betrayed, because, my father was abusive, narcissist, and, I didn't think he deserved to be forgiven for so many things, and so many things that I just didn't understand for me how to forgive and let go. Because in these scenes it showed me I was still angry with my father, and I was still holding on to unforgiveness for, my husband, even in trials that we went through in our love trials. So in this experience for me, God had to show me that I was blinded by this anger, and it was the poisoning my soul. It was a poison in my soul, worse than with the spider. Poison was, is what I learned. And I had to have this experience to go through this to see, be more grateful for your life. Remember, everything's a blessing. Even that spider bite was a blessing for me because it helped me see more clearly and understand and awaken to next levels. And, I thought I wasn't taking my life for granted, but, there's just some times that we don't see things and I saw the perspective of my life. It was like I was watching a movie. It was like I was outside of myself. So I could see what I looked like when I was upset or what I was angry. And I didn't like this version of myself. And so I'm actually thankful, very, very thankful that I was bitten by a spider. And, we ended up finding out later, we believe it was a brown recluse. I ended up going to the doctor afterwards because my flesh was being eaten away on this bite. It was awful to look at. I took pictures of it through stages, and I'm lucky I have a very minimal scar there, and it's just in a private area where I would show people. But when I went and told a neighbor about my experience, I have an elder neighbor across the street, and I was just going to get my mail. And she was out on her porch, and I'll often go visit with her and talk to her. And I wanted to tell her what happened. And she ends up telling me, and I never knew this before, that her dad had died when she was a little girl from a spider bite. And she said he died 6 or 7 days after the spider bite. And I just my jaw dropped, and I'm like, I believe it was day 6 or 7 when I had my near death experience as well. And I was just, so thankful. My heart went out to my neighbor. I never even, had heard this story or knew that. And she grew up without a dad as a little girl because of the spider bite. So I felt even more blessed and protected, hearing that and knowing more that I am here for a reason. And, actually we all are. And I learned the reason and the mission why I'm here on earth in another experience, in my out of body experience that happened in 2016. And this was also in my bed and in my house where it happened. And on this night, it was the middle of the night. It was, the twilight hours, 3 or 4 a.m., something like that. And again, I was trying to sleep. And I had been listening to meditation music. And then I had told Alexa, or Alexa just started playing. I can't remember. But Alexa started to play this Tibetan song, this Tibetan mantra. And I'd never heard it before. I had never even listened to really mantras before this point in my life, other than, meditation music. But I couldn't understand it, but this song was so beautiful, and I was going to turn it off because I thought this is too stimulating and it's going to keep me up. But it started to relax me so deeply. And it was such this beautiful song, and I could start to understand the Tibetan. The more I listened to it, it sounded like it was saying, come home. It was calling me home. And all my life, I want to preface this, all my life, I have been looking for home. I have never felt this was my home. I've never felt I fit in. I've been the black sheep. I've been the outcast. I've been bullied and hated for just who I am and how I express myself and how different I am and how I feel. I almost feel I was an alien, growing up. But so in this song, they were calling me home, and I started to vibrate. And I started to vibrate so intensely. And it was so powerful that it vibrated until my body imploded, and I returned back to dust. And I was the stardust that we came from again, essentially, or the dust from the earth. And then I looked at myself, though I didn't have eyes, I didn't have a body anymore, and I was a pure being of light. And before me, there was a portal above me, and the portal sucked me through. It was like a magnet just pulled me, and I was moving at the speed of light, traveling through the universe, and I arrived at the galactic center, and there before me was Creator. And in this space, I have to mention, there was another song. There was a song that was like a frequency. And this frequency, similar to solfeggio, it was just pure unconditional love. It was the most powerful and most amazing love I've ever felt. And that, that like, and I've only felt it in these experiences, and it's hard to even comprehend until you have love fill your entire being and your entire essence. It's like nothing, nothing can beat that. It's the supreme, power of the universe and power of creator is what I've learned. And as I'm listening and feeling this pure love and this pure peace and bliss, I noticed there was other little stars like me compared to what creator was. Creator was like a giant supernova emanation of a star, of a like white vortex. I really don't know the words or have the words how to properly describe it, but gigantic compared to me in my little light. But so I saw these little lights coming over, and each one was flying over and combining and becoming one with the prime creator. And then I was called over and I became one with creator. And I had heard this concept of oneness in Buddhism. I've heard this concept, before, but I didn't know it was real. And I got to exactly feel that and experience that. And I'm so beyond blessed to have this experience and to share it and to know that I was finally home and I finally found my home and that I was welcome home. And I thought, I never thought I was worthy. My parents didn't know how to love me growing up. I've gone through many trials, like I said, of not feeling fitting in and looking for this pure love in this world that is so hard to find because humans don't know who they are and they don't remember where they came from, this love that they came from. I'm sorry. And, in this place, in this union of oneness, at feeling at home, and all my pain was gone. And I've lived with chronic pain from Lyme disease. And it was just so wonderful to feel. But in this space, I was told my mission, and my mission one was to tell about this experience and then to tell people that love is what creator is. And that's truly what we are, and how we all are pure love, that we all are this little spark, this little fractal of creator that comes here and pretends we're a human for a little while. And we have these experiences, and this illusion and this veil, is placed on us here. So we forget the love that we came from. So people like me who I'm not more special is like, I want to explain to people, we're all special is how you need to understand. I didn't know I was loved that perfectly. And now I take that love, I've brought that love back, that feeling, that vibration, and that energy and that experience. And I've used it to love myself more and to know when I don't feel worthy again, when I don't feel loved by this world, that it's not real. The only thing real is creator's love. And that we all need to remember that and know that love is the answer. And what we all need is this true love, to love our enemy, to love ourselves, to love all the parts of ourself. I learned to love all the parts that I have rejected, all the parts that you may be ashamed of. Those parts deserve love too. We do not have to be perfect to be worthy of love. So this is a huge misconception that religious people have. Or no, God has no religion. There is no religion. And those are man-made. And anything that takes you away from loving your neighbor, understanding and forgiving your neighbor, all those things that I had to learn again, it's not really of God or what we call God, all the different names. It doesn't matter. It matters what love you are and who you are being. Embody that love, because that is the highest form of worship. To love creator at the level that you are loved back, be that reflection in the world. So I've been trying to do that. I'm trying to be a teacher of love